What's going on, everybody? Prophecy Wiz back at it again with yet another YouTube video. We are finally done with the Duelist Cup. Me and my teammates each did pretty decently for our first cup. Obviously, none of us won the cup, but definitely learned a lot so that we can win the next one. I did do a stream a little while back, going from Rookie to Master 1 in just one stream on Master Duel with the Blue Eyes deck. So if you guys have any interest in that, let me know. Maybe I will make a video about it. I will be doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday uploads moving forward, as well as Monday through Friday streams. I will be linking my Twitch below, as well as starting doing coaching on Metafy. I have a lot of requests come in for people asking, can you help me with the Labyrinth deck? Can you help me with the Blue Eyes deck? Can you help me with Melodious, Voiceless, etc.? And I decided to do that moving forward. So I'll have that linked below. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm going to be going over the top meta decks going into the YCS this weekend. I wanted to go over a few honorable mentions and then what I think are going to be like the dominant top three that you need to prepare for the most. So I have a few honorable mentions. I'll start there, and then we'll go into the top three in order of where I think that they belong. So first thing in their honorable mention is going to be the actual best deck. That's going to be Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's not close. Genuinely, if you want to win the event, take the Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. I do genuinely think it is actually the best deck. There's a reason I was playing it in the format before. The format has changed. All the other decks have only gotten weaker. Blue Eyes has stayed the same, so I think that Blue Eyes is still just super, super well positioned. The reason that I'm not putting it higher in the top three is because I try to do these to give people the genuine best information possible. And while I do think that Blue Eyes is the best option, I don't think that Blue Eyes is going to be the top three most represented. So I want to make sure that you guys know what is going to be actually represented rather than just what I think is a great choice. But I do think it's a great choice. I think it was amazing before. I think it puts up Omni Negates. I think Spirit Dragon is insane into Yummy. I think the Omni Negates are just crazy into the Mitsurugi deck. I think that the deck is just in general really good into any Rogue decks. And I think right now Rogue has a great time to flourish. And I think Blue Eyes is like the best deck into Rogue. So that is where we're going to start it off. The next deck I wanted to talk about is the YCS strategy. I know that we didn't see a lot of it in the last weekend, but I do still think that the YCS strategy is a really strong sleeper deck. I still think that it's super playable. I don't know if it's going to be the Heraldic, or I would probably play the Onomat version, but I think that you can still fit in like a ton of starters, a ton of non-engine. I think Detonator with Twins of Eclipse is still crazy. The field spell is really good. Like, all the cards are really good. They still have just insane card quality. So the YCS deck is the next deck I would definitely look out for. I still think that deck is really strong and is going to continue. Like, I think it's going to creep back up in popularity. The next deck I wanted to talk about is the Malice strategy. Obviously, it kind of goes hand in hand with YCS. I know that it did get hit, but I do think everybody's interruptions are starting to go towards things that aren't great against Malice. A lot more people are main decking Delta, I've noticed. A lot of people are playing like Dominus Purge, and people are playing Effect Veilers and things like that. And I just don't think that any of those cards are particularly great into Malice. Which might, and I think everybody's taken Artifact Lancy out of their side deck. I don't think that you're going to see any, many, if any, Artifact Lances in your side deck into the upcoming weekend, which means that Malice could potentially be moderately decently positioned. I don't think it's as good as any of the top decks. I honestly think Blue Eyes and YCS are a bit better, but I do think that it's notable that I do think Malice is an interesting spot where everybody's kind of like, all right, the deck's dead. Let's move on from that and move on to the newer things. So I think it might give Malice an opportunity to be decent again. The last deck in the honorable mentions I wanted to talk about is the Crystron deck. The Crystron Canine deck, that is, of course. Well, the Vanquish Soul deck got crushed on the man list, and I think Vanquish Soul Canine is just unplayable. I think that the Crystron Canine deck is still very much so playable. I think it's very strong still. I think that their end boards and combos and board breaking ability were honestly way better than the Vanquish Soul deck in the first place. I actually thought Crystron Canine was way scarier and better than the other version of the Vanquish Soul K9 deck even before the ban list. That might be a hot take, but I have been world grinding, just grinding every weekend. There has been a lapse of a few weeks just because of a lack of events. But yeah, I think the deck is just crazy strong, and I think that even though it got inclusion put to 1, I don't think that's like a massively big deal. I still think opening Jokul and one of the level 5s in the Crystron strategy are just absolutely broken. You can still just like dump and search the 1 inclusion, and I think that deck is a genuine threat moving forward and can potentially pick up steam and maybe even be in the top 3 eventually. So look out for Crystron. Keep some of the decks I just mentioned in your mind as things like I want to prepare for. Obviously, there is the Odeon deck as well. I do think some people will try that out for sure, but I do think that there was a lot of people who were reading cards in the weekend before, which definitely did contribute to that deck doing better than I think it will this weekend. I think that the deck is not bad. I think that it is decent. I think the primary cards are nuts, but I'm not sure that I'm super convinced that that deck is going to continue to do well moving forward. I think that deck will do fine, but I think it was more of a one-off. I don't think that deck will have any top 8 spots this weekend, so let me know what you guys think below about that. Moving into the top 3 meta decks that I think are going to be the most represented. At number 3, I have the Draco Tail strategy. I still think that deck is really good. I think that deck can just play a ton of hand traps, still a respectable amount of starters. It even got more cards now moving forward. So I think that deck is definitely formidable. I think it's really good. The only thing is I'm not sure that we're moving into a format where like hand traps are the absolute best thing. I think like a mix of hand traps and breakers are going to be a little bit better this format for the first time in a long time. Partially because like the obviously elephant in the room that Mitsurugi is just insane. So and hand traps is really bad against Mitsurugi. So a little concerning with that, but I do think that the Draco Tail deck just being completely unhit on the list is a huge benefit to it when it was already arguably top 3 before the list, so nothing's really going to change there. Moving into number 2, we have the Yummy strategy. This is going to be pure Yummy and Yummy variants. I don't think that it's the number 1 best deck. I think that it's probably second best. I think that the Yummy deck is very consistent. It's probably the most consistent deck in the room if it so chooses to play that way with like a ton of Yummy cards and starters. They're all just 1-card starters, which I think is a big deal. I think the Marshmallow is a great card. I think they lost 2 Obedience School, but they still have 1, and they just got multiple Marshmallows, so it's even more consistent than what it was before. I think that deck is really strong, and it's going to continue to be strong and make waves in the format, and I think that now people are playing more like other engines with it where it was more pure before. However, I personally think that the best way to play it is pure. I don't think that adding the Mitsurugi cards or any other engines into it is the correct way of playing it. I think that pure Yummy is the second best deck. And with the number 1 deck of the format, I think it's going to be the most represented in Top Cut. I think it's going to be the most represented in Day 2. I think it's by far stronger than either of the other 2 decks, and I think it lines up really well into them. It's going to be Mitsurugi. I said this the moment the ban list released. Anybody who's been in the Twitch streams, I said the moment the ban list came out that very day, I was on stream and said Mitsurugi is just going to be insane. It's by far going to be the most represented deck in the top cuts, and it is just going to be crazy. The Mitsurugi deck, in my opinion, just plays crazy into the Yummy deck. I think the Yummy deck has a hard time playing into the Mitsurugi board, and I think that the Mitsurugi board can the Mitsurugi engine can break the Yummy end board. So I think that Mitsurugi just has a really good matchup into. Mitsurugi has a great matchup into Yummy, and also Draco Tail is just like a hand trap deck. That's what's good about it. And her hand traps simply are just not great into the Mitsurugi deck, especially because the Draco Tail deck can't play Impulse or Purge, which are both like fairly decent into that deck, especially Impulse. And I think that deck is just going to steamroll hand trap decks. So I think that the Draco Tail deck is going to have a very hard time beating it, and so is the Yummy deck, in which like puts it in a position where it's just like I think it's by far stronger than everything else. I think that more people were experimenting the very first weekend of YCSs, but I think the more that the format develops, the more people are going to realize that the pure Mitsurugi deck is just crazy. Plays Impulse, plays a respectable amount of starters. It just got no hits on the ban list. I think that was crazy. I was a bit turned off on the ban list, like by the ban list myself personally, because I seen that there was no Mitsurugi hits, and I felt like exactly what we're going to get for the next 5.5 months if Konami makes us wait that long. It's just going to be a Mitsurugi format. I feel like I don't hate the Mitsurugi deck, but I feel like people were kind of square on that. I feel like we're ready to like move into a fresh phase, and now I think Mitsurugi is just going to bully the decks that people were enjoying, like Draco Tail and Yummy, until people just simply stop playing those and just play the Mitsurugi deck itself. So I think that the deck's going to be the dominating force moving forward. I definitely think that's the deck you have to prepare for the most. I'm going to a VIP qualifier for Pittsburgh this weekend. I'm definitely going to prepare for Mitsurugi the most, as well as the other decks that I hadn't mentioned in here. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please drop a like and subscribe as well. And I really appreciate everybody's support. I promise you guys that my content from this moment on is going to be astronomically more consistent every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I miss an upload on any of those days, please drop in the comment section below giving me a hard time, because that is unacceptable behavior out of me. And I know I won't see any comments like that because I will be sticking to it, as well as Monday through Friday streams. Generally, it will be after 5 p.m. Eastern because I work till that time. So check me out at Twitch, on Twitch at ProphecyWiz_. So thank you guys all so much, and I will see you guys on Monday.